It feels like a business, to be honest. All right. It feels like they're just trying to rip you off for money. What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name's Carl, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my thoughts on college. Is it worth it? And should you go? And I'll give you a little bit of my background experience going to college. Okay, so a little bit about me. I think it's important to give you some of my background story so that you can kind of tell how my thoughts came to be on the whole college situation. So I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I grew up there, and I graduated high school in 2014. So I'm getting a little old now. And right out of high school, I took a gap year. So I went to Chicago. I worked in my uncle's gym. And then I went to San Diego, and I worked in the shipyards there. And I was able to get it so I could do each job for like 3 to 4 months and then go back home and keep working. So when I got back home, I started working in construction, and I started working for a plumber. So I worked for him in San Francisco, and I worked for him for like 4 years. And I started going to community college while I was working for him. So I started community college in the fall of 2015, and it took me a while to get through. And this was mostly because I was working the whole time, and I was pretty much only going part-time. I was doing like 9 to 12 units a semester. Halfway through, I decided to move to San Diego full-time, and I finished up community college there. And eventually I got my contractor's license, so now I'm self-employed. And I was able to work for myself the entire time I was going to school. So eventually I finished community college, and I applied to a bunch of different schools, and I got into UCSD. Originally, I wanted to go and be an economics major, but they put me in international business. All right, so I started at UCSD in the fall of 2019. And I'll give you a few of my impressions and kind of my takeaway from that school, and then kind of try to give you some advice if you should go to college or not. So my first major impression was how big the classes are. Okay, you're gonna have classes that are like 350 people. It's in a big auditorium, and one of them the teacher was still teaching with a chalkboard. Okay, so you can't really even see anything unless you sit up by the front, and that's tough to do sometimes when there's so many people. And you have to be very independent when you're in a class that big. I mean, there's not a lot of help that you can get from the teacher because he's got so many other students. Everything at a four-year college is more expensive. The books, the parking, the tuition, everything costs more, okay? The food on the campus costs more. You know, it's a book that should be 20 or 30 bucks. They'll try to charge you $200 for, all right? Luckily, I was able to get a lot of the books for free online, or kind of like rent some textbooks, so I was able to keep stuff down that way, but there's not a lot of ways around it. The school is way more expensive. It feels like a business, to be honest, all right? It feels like they're just trying to rip you off for money a lot of the times. And a lot of people, I think, have that same impression just because of how much it costs to go. Dealing with the school bureaucracy is frustrating and painful, okay? I don't like dealing with, like bullshit office tasks. It gets me very frustrated, and anytime you want to do something that you have to involve the administration with, like change your classes, or, a great example, this last semester, I had to get my vaccine card. They didn't process it correctly, and I needed to get it sent in from the state database, and I had to send a photo of it in, and it took me like an hour on the phone just to deal with all that. All right, it's just painful. I felt the age gap because by the time when I started there, I was around 22, I think, maybe 23, and a lot of the classes I had, there was people who were like 18 and 19 years old. All right, so I've got a lot more at that point in your life. When you're 22, you've been traveling around, you've done some other stuff. You have a lot more experiences than someone who comes right out of high school and goes to college. So for me, it was a little bit hard to relate to some of the younger people. they were like really nice. They were great people that I met there, but I definitely felt the age gap quite a bit, especially my first semester, first couple quarters there. A lot of the classes feel really outdated, okay? And a lot of stuff you realize that it can be learned online much quicker than in a classroom and for much less money. A great example is a marketing class that I took. I had to take marketing there. And they didn't even talk, or they barely mentioned social media and marketing yourself or your business on social media. And this is 2019, I took this class. That should be like half the class, if you ask me. I mean, they should be talking about Facebook, YouTube, how to advertise on those platforms, the best way to create content to advertise your business or yourself. That stuff isn't even mentioned. It's all about like general marketing concepts. I mean, it's not really useful information a lot of the times. And the stuff you want to learn from that, you can learn it online and you can read a book about it and save yourself, a lot of money by not having to pay tuition. All right. Some pros that I liked about the school. If you're good at socializing and if you're good at meeting people, it's a great place to be because a lot of the people there are pretty smart. They're very driven, a lot of the people. And, that's kind of the tough environment to find yourself in or to recreate is what I'm trying to say. Like, you're not going to find that environment in too many other places. All right. So it's definitely a good spot to socialize and meet people who, you might be trying to achieve similar things as them. If you're not great at socializing or networking, it's a good place to practice. I mean, you kind of have to force yourself to practice. Maybe I guess it's easy to just, if you have a dorm, just stay in your dorm room and play video games and just do your homework and you'll do fine in your classes. But if you're not good at it, definitely force yourself to get out there and meet people and make friends. And then finally, it definitely helps keep you in the mindset to be what I call a lifelong learner. So a lot of successful people, they're very good at learning new information and new skills. And college, I definitely think, helps keep you practicing after you get out of high school, the ability to keep learning new stuff. Now, I'm not saying you can't get that somewhere else, but college definitely, it keeps you in that mindset that you got to always be learning new stuff. And learning stuff, it can be a skill, and it's good to practice that skill. Okay, so should you go to college? So I want to preemptively say only you can answer that question, all right? I can't answer it for you. In life, you have to make your own decisions and kind of live with the consequences of those decisions. That's just the way it is. But if you're a young kid, if you're in high school, if you're thinking about going to college, maybe some of the things I'm going to say can help you make that decision. All right, number one, if you want to be like a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, you have to go to college. There's not really any other way to do it that I know of. And it's just the way it is. So your decision's been made. Congratulations. If you want to be self-employed, I don't think you need to go to college. I think it could honestly be one of the biggest wastes of time if you do decide to go. Nothing wrong with taking a little bit of community college classes, something like that, just to maybe get your feet wet, maybe learn something new. But I honestly think that just starting your own business, if that's what you want to do, that's probably your best use of time. I don't think going to college helps you that much if you want to start your own business. It really doesn't. If you know what you want to do and you don't want to be self-employed, there's cheaper options out there for a lot of things, okay? You can do certificate programs. You can do apprenticeships. You can do like a coding class if you want to work with computers. There's a lot of other ways out there rather than doing the traditional four-year university route that might save you a lot of money and a lot of time. If you do want to go to school, here is some advice. I would highly recommend, if you want to go to college, that you should do community college first, all right? Number one, you're going to save a boatload of money, okay? I think community college is like 10% of the cost of going to a four-year school, all right? It might take you a little longer. just because most people who go to community college end up working at the same time. But I think it's worth it. I think coming out with as little debt or no debt if possible, that's the way to go. And if you can learn like some sort of skill while you're in community college that you can then get above minimum wage, I think that's a great thing. I would recommend also you take a gap year after high school. All right. I think it's a good thing to kind of get out there, experience the real world, try to do some kind of job that's different. Leave your hometown. You can always come back if your parents still live there. Leave and go and experience the world, okay? There's a lot out there, and when you're 18 and you just graduated high school, you've been in school your entire life, all right? So it's definitely good to get some new experiences. When you go to college, if you go to college, choose the cheaper option. Choose a state school, choose somewhere where they give you a big scholarship, even if it's not like the fanciest or the nicest school. You're gonna be so grateful when you're done that you don't have $50,000 of debt because you didn't go to the nicest school that you got into or the most expensive school that you got into. Okay, when you got to start making those payments, if you have debt, it's not fun. It's painful. Okay, I personally, I don't have any debt, and I'm super happy about that. I'm grateful, but you know, I have friends that have like $60,000 of debt, and I feel really bad for them. If you're in high school, take as many AP classes as you can, all right? They will save you so much time and money if you can pass the AP tests when you go to college or community college, all right? You'll save literally hours of your life, semesters of your life, not having to retake the same class that you just took in high school over again, all right? As long as you can pass the AP test, but most people can pass a lot of them. So any class where you can take an AP, take it. Just do it. Get it done with. You're going to thank yourself later on. It literally saved me like a year of my life because I had a bunch of AP classes done. So definitely recommend that. Be careful of drinking and excessive drug use in college. You're going to have a lot of friends. Some of them are going to want to drink a lot. They're going to want to do drugs. I'm not saying not to have a little bit of fun, but be watchful. You know, if you have an addictive personality or you're inclined to like go down rabbit holes, I'd be very careful, okay? Because it depends on the school you go to, obviously, but the culture definitely is there. It's easy to get trapped in something like that. And, you know, you can waste years of your life by just drinking and not being productive, not furthering yourself. Guys, thanks for watching my video. If you want to, follow my other channel. I post workout videos, nutrition tips, workout tips, and I will leave the link in the description of this video right down below. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.